So quick, we are live already. Welcome everybody to the weekly Theta Healing Power Hour, where I always say I'm Brenda B. Bailey. I'm a person in the know and I know really cool influencers and informative people, and you never want to miss these. You always want to catch them because people are good who I get to talk to. So how we always start is we are going to be I'll be interviewing our next featured guest. And then we will take about 10 minutes to do a little bit of theta healing work around what comes up, what challenges like her clients have, or that she works with in her programs, and or just something that I heard in our conversation, because it's always good conversation. So let me get the bio out. So everybody, I want to introduce you to Brandy Deutsch. She is, we have been friends, colleagues, for many years. I think we're thinking maybe 10 to 12, we don't know, somewhere around in there. So Brandy is a certified yoga instructor. She is a theta healer and a mental health intuitive. She holds a master's degree in metaphysical science and teaches courses in intuitive development, self-improvement, and spiritual confidence. She is the host and co-producer of Beyond the Edge, which is a TV radio show that supports energy medicine and spirituality. And she also co-leads for Women of the World Networking Group. And she is a mother of three. Let's just go ahead and throw that in too, right? Because she doesn't have that anywhere, but I'm just going to tell you, she is a mother of three in addition to all of that. So welcome, Brandy.
Thanks so much, Brenda. Thanks for having me on your co-live. How do I, you when you hear your bio, when you hear your own stuff, you go, how did I do that? How did I do all that?
She sounds great. I want to know her more.
How do I do all that? What's up with that? I really appreciate you so much. Thanks for having me on. And we just had you on our show today.
No, I was just going to say, and she has the best guest on her show as well.
I do. You were on today. It was incredible. What a great show we had. So I want to thank you again for being on our show. It was so much fun.
And she has a great co-host as well, it was great. It was a lot of fun. So hopefully can fill those shoes, just saying.
You're doing great.
So, no, I'm just kidding. So Brandy, so we're going to go ahead and just we're just going to get started with the questions here. So what do we believe when there's so much information floating around? How do we know what to believe? This is such a great question for today. Go on, listening.
Isn't it a good question? Well, how do we know what to believe? There's a lot of misinformation going on. There's a lot of things floating around that it's confusing. It's a strange time right now. There's some polarization happening. So what do we believe? I really, in my heart of hearts, know that if you know yourself, if you know who you are, if you know what you believe about yourself and the world, you can feel extremely secure that whenever information comes in, you already know if it's good for you, if it's true for you, if it's not good for you, if it's not good. Like, everyone has a different perception of reality based on our beliefs that we already have, right? So if we get some information comes in front of us, all we have to really do is check in and go, wow, is that true? Because some of it might be quite shocking. Some of the information coming through is like, whoa, I did not expect to see or hear or have an experience around that. And so when we check in and go, wow, is that true? Is that right? Is that what's really part of my reality right now? Your answer comes, right? And it comes really swift and really quick, and you just know. And so what do we believe? What do we believe whenever we get this conflicting information or not sure? You just go in, right? You just go in and you check in with self. Or if you know Theta Healing, you just go in and check with Creator. And like that, right? Like it's not rocket science. And I think we just forget sometimes that if we know who we are and we know creator, we just go within, go in or go up. To me, sometimes it's the same thing, because there's this endless flow, right? There's this endless flow of energy that moves through us. So that's what I would say. When you get hit with some information you just don't know, it could be shocking or whatever, you just check in with self and go, is that real? And sometimes there's these emotions, right? So like another reason to have theta healing in your back pocket, because when you have theta healing, theta healing, then you can just say, oh, well, wow, some emotions coming up, I'm a little feeling scared. You just go up and clear it, and there's no reason to fear. There's no reason to be on high alert. It's just peace. It's just peace there.
Absolutely, because I think that that's one of the things. It's funny. I was just had a friend who was telling me that they were talking to, doing like a Zoom with their doctor, and he kiddingly said, "I wished I had invested in antidepressants stock." Right? Because this is a lot what's going on, and it's because people are not knowing like what the truth is and how to navigate the truth for themselves, right? I think the pandemic was just the beginning of what we're going to find as it leads through what is true, what is not. Do I believe this or not? And I think it's been a habit or what we've learned, and especially, and again, we could talk about so many areas, but especially in the medical field, I think people just hand over their power to doctors.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think of this as a time of liberation. I think of this as a time of being free. A lot of people say it's this great awakening that I know, but being a health practitioner for many years and in the health and wellness industry, I've known that there's all these different types of things that can help people that people don't talk about. Instead of there being commercials about vitamins and herbs and home remedies, there are these pharmaceutical
Pharmaceutical.
commercials and this long list of side effects. And we look at that, right? And we look at that, we go, gosh, why are they still doing that? Like, we know better, we know different. At the same time, there are doctors who are also waking up to the fact that there's this there's this oh, I don't like, there's certain language that we use. There's this thing around money that's a dark thing around money. We've got this, you were just on the show talking about abundance and all this positive stuff and philanthropy around money. And that's exciting to me. Like, that really makes me feel so excited. And then there's also the dark side of money where people are using it to harm people and control people. And eyes wide open to that, right? Eyes wide open, you go, wow, this is a thing that's happening. And doctors are also waking up to that. There are some that are already feeling like, wow, we have the answers, and they don't involve this dark stuff. And so I'm like, whoa, welcome to the club, like, welcome to our world where we've been seeing inconsistencies as in health wellness industry. And now we've got these doctors going, yeah, wait a minute, that's not the way. And so it's a liberation. It's a kind of like, wow, people are starting to see truth, and they're starting to see how simple things are, which brings us back around to theta healing, right?
Right.
How simple and easy it can be. We don't need antidepressants. We don't need those medications. Now, some people do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that
Right. She's
medication is
not
bad.
advocating for you to get off of it, right? She's saying
Not
that if
at
you want
all.
to, under the supervision of your doctor, consider doing it differently.
Exactly. Listen, everybody has a choice, and that's what's wonderful about the world we live in. We will always have a choice. It doesn't seem like it sometimes, but even with theta healing, if you don't think you have a choice, you can shift it and change it and know that you do, and one presents itself to you.
Absolutely. I love that. And the big thing is that, again, the we were actually just Googling for to solve a problem, right? And the thing is that we have a lot of information available to us now, more so than ever. And I think that that's part of what social media has presented for itself is, and I think that that's why, unfortunately, the boat's getting rocked so much, is because we're more informed now. We're not, some are sheep, and I get it, and that's okay. I think I always say being a theta healer has allowed me just to accept people where they are, and whether or not I want them in my circle is different, right? Whether or not I want them in my tribe, but I can accept everybody where they are. Some are a little bit harder than others, but I can.
And some are related to us.
No kidding. But, that's the thing. Take the information and come and, I always, my family has a medical background. So I've always approached going to a doctor when I had to go,
Yes.
which I've been very fortunate not having to go very much.
Yes.
It's me asking questions or me saying what I felt like was best. And inevitably they always looked at me and said, so who in your family's in a medical field? Always. I've been asked that for any new doctor that I've ever had, because I don't just go, oh, okay, oh yeah, sure, let's do that. No, I don't. And in fact, I'll tell you what, to add to that, I just had a situation maybe about 8 or 9 months ago, same thing with the vet. Took my dog in, wanted to get some tests, felt like there was something going on. They wanted to do a whole lot of tests. And I was like, no, we're doing one test at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get the first one, and then let's see what this is, and then what's the next test after that. Ended up with my little dog had to do 2 tests, and then when they came with me with the solution, it was going to be like all this money. And please don't get me wrong, Brandy will tell you, I love my puppy. I love her. I'd go to the ends of the earth and back for her.
Trula's your baby. Come on.
Yeah, but I just went, I think we're going to adjust something with her diet, because I was already making her food. I said, and then let's give it 3 months and let's see what happened. What was the symptom went away when I did that. And I didn't have to go back to the vet. And, because they were like, well, we'll need to put her on this. And I'm like, she's a little 6-pound little puppy. Like, she can't handle all of that.
Exactly.
And so, and we as humans can't either, type thing. So there are just so many things that you have to say yes or no. And with animals, I think it's a lot harder, right? Because people are just like, oh, I gave you my money, and I never really thought about it until I was sitting there in that situation going, would I say yes? Would I say no? And I think that happens with our kids as well,
Right. Well, and it helps to be able to communicate with our animal friends and our nature friends. I think that that's a huge step in the direction of knowing truth and feeling truth, because when we can communicate with them and we know what they need, or we can ask them how they're feeling and they'll tell us, that's huge godsend, literally. That's a huge godsend. And so being able to have that communication, that open line of communication, then we have more information, and information is the key. And then sometimes when we need that help, you talked about that on the show too, when asking for help, going to a professional and saying, we need some tests, we're not sure. Chula may not even know, right, what's going on with her. And so when you get that information, then you have more you can work through. And then you intuitively go, oh, it's that, let's try this. Let's see what, because we're the authority. We're the authority on ourselves. And if we have babies, I've got children, I'm the authority on my child, second to them. If they can tell me what's wrong, excellent. If not, then I can impart and go, could it be this or this? And then when we go and ask God and we get some good information, we know where to go from there.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that understanding and again, both Brandy and I are huge advocates of theta healing. I mean, let's just we'll both say that. And the thing is that that's what allows you to be able to approach things in a different way. And that's what allows you to see, and maybe not all the way, but just trust, like, oh, this is an illusion. Oh, this is, not the truth, right? This is, or it's not my truth. That's the big thing. What is my truth? I always say there's the truth, and then there's my truth.
That's right.
Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're not, right?
That's right. And when we talk about trust, I hear a lot of people say that, oh, we need to learn to trust. I don't think we need to learn to trust, because we come into this world completely trusting. We can't walk, we can't speak, nothing. And so I think we know how to trust intuitively, but what we need to learn is, or download, is who to trust and when to trust, right? Like those two things are important, because maybe we've had some examples in our lives when we trusted the thing or the person that would put us in harm's way. And that doesn't mean, and we talked about this earlier, that doesn't mean that we shut everybody down. It just means we need more information from Creator going, okay, this is who to trust and this is when to trust. And then those signals, like the body can tell us, the external world can tell us. We talk about seeing signs or having signals in the body that say, no, that's not quite right. Like there's something about that doesn't feel right. And then to listen. we right, that's our biggest challenge, is to be disciplined enough to listen to the information we're getting. We still have a choice, of course. You always have a choice. And when you get the information, listen, follow.
Well, I always kiddingly say, right? I listen, and first and foremost, we have to trust God and we have to trust ourselves. Then that's what allows us to be able to move on and ask those questions about other people, places, things, decisions around that. That's your foundation right there. But I kiddingly say, like last February, God told me to buy extra toilet paper. And I was like, I don't want to store extra toilet paper. I'm not going to do it, And I have to tell you, in April, when I was standing in line at, 7 o'clock in the morning outside the grocery store to be able to get toilet paper, I was like, great lesson. Note to self, listen to God always on the big and the small things, just go with it. So, lesson learned. Thanks for the reminder, God. So, but Brandy, how can we recognize the difference between what is true and what is a lie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So knowing the difference between the two. So we say that, right? So being able to tell the difference, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, is to check in, to go in and see for yourself what's true. So we know what our mind tells us sometimes, and then we have higher guidance. And I kind of touched on it a little bit before when I was talking about in the show, when we were talking about, let's say we have a higher self that resides on this mountain, our higher guidance that's on the top, and it can see 360 all the way around. And then we've got this conscious mind that's right here in the middle, and it's just can see only so far ahead. And then our subconscious resides almost like in a cave where it can't really see, can't really know a whole lot. But being able to integrate those three, being able to know that we are this clear conduit for free flowing information, which we are. It's more like what we call a torus. A flow, right? That goes around in our energy field. It's that openness that can help us and guide us to what's true, right? So how do you tell the difference? It's between your mind talking to you and Creator or higher mind or higher consciousness. How do we tell the difference between those two? I can tell you one of the main ways to tell is if you notice that there's ego involved. Ego or emotion, right? So a lot of times we'll make a decision based on emotion. But when we neutralize the emotion, we can actually see things a lot differently, a lot clearer. Because the emotion's the thing that really clouds us. There's always this, because, think of the movies that we watch, how involved they get us in our emotions, right? They make us angry. We'll see something and we'll feel angry, and we'll feel sad, or we'll feel, open or whatever. Man, I don't watch movies that much anymore. I don't watch movies that much anymore, because it's this roller coaster thing that happens. And the truth is, I don't like to go on those kinds of roller coasters. Some of them are fun, but the emotions get involved, and it totally can block what's true for us. That's one thing. The other thing, when the ego comes in, we think of the I, the mine, and it's like that ego part of self will come in and say, oh, but this thing, and it'll take you to the past. A lot of times it'll take you to the past. That ego will go, well, remember when this thing happened? And we mentioned that, right? this may be happening again. And there's the emotion. So anytime you get taken to the past, it's a red flag. And then I want to talk about green flags. We don't talk about green flags enough, right? How do you know when something is true and it's coming in from an intuitive place or a godly place? Well, there's not going to be a ego element to it, right? You may not like the answer, you may not like the information, but it doesn't mean that it's not true. So when we check in with how invested am I in this? How invested am I in this information? Where is my ego in this? You know, then you can spot it. You're like, oh, okay. And then you take an action and you see what happens. You know, you take an action on something you've heard or seen and you see what happens. And that keeps happening. When that keeps happening and you start seeing results, easy results, simple results, things that aren't obstacles, you know, because that's another way, you know, if you start incurring obstacle upon obstacle, something's not right. That's your yellow or red flag. The green flag is whenever universe, creator just unfolds in front of you. The path just unfolds.
I feel like that's really true. Things always feel very smooth for me. I've been doing theta healing for 14 years. So when it does get difficult, and it rarely does, I'll be looking around going, what is going on here? Right. And we have a choice to make it difficult or not. We have a choice to say yes or no, just like I did with the toilet paper, right? It's like, and then I kind of go, oh, confirmation once again, because you have your free will. Bottom line, you have your free will. So it's like you get information, you make a choice. So why not get the information that's more objective?
Exactly. And when we feel like we're stuck, when we feel like we don't have a choice, you know, that's another possible indication that there's dual beliefs, that we have more than one belief and they're conflicting, right? So when we have that, then we know, okay, something needs to shift, something needs to change so I can get unstuck. And that's where a download comes in. That's when we can get the idea or the epiphany or something that helps us see a different way out, because there's always more than two choices. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I got two choices? No, I got more choices. And plus, well, for those of you who know, like the Enneagram, you know, have you ever studied Enneagram? I'm a 7. So that's about possibilities. Don't ever limit me. Don't ever try to limit me, right? So if we don't have, and I help other people with that very thing too. If you feel like you're stuck, you don't have a choice, let me help you expand your mind. Let me help you expand. Who said that? I'm a big Star Trek fan too. So recently I watched Picard and I love this quote. He says, "To say that there's no other way is a lack of imagination."
Oh, I love that. You heard it here. I love that. I mean, again, right? It's like I was just talking, I just watched the world tour of the Trolls, right? The Trolls on world tour. I don't know what the title of it is. I just finally watched it. And I was like, I always say that the greatest things come like from Star Trek and Disney. I'm just saying, like the words to live by, right? Come from Star Trek and Disney.
They do. I mean, and yeah, like, and I really think that when we can expand, when we can see beyond what we have here, just what is presented in front of us, when we look beyond, when we expand our mind to be something that is beyond it, I think it just opens up so many possibilities. You know, like, I mean, I always think about your website, you know, unlimited possibilities, you know, 101. It's like, there really are unlimited possibilities. At the same time, we've been taught that there are limits. And in some places there are limits, in some places there needs to be. I think about when raising my children and how to create healthy boundaries for them, you know. So I have to tell my kids no sometimes. Not have to, but I choose to, so that they understand that we have some limits here. As they get older, I'm going to teach them how to go beyond those limits and still feel safe. And I think that's important. These stair steps, and it's not, it's not a lie. It's not that it's an untruth. This is where we are right now. It's true for all of us. Like, what's a progression? This is where I was yesterday. This is where I was when I was a teenager. I wasn't able to conceive of this information around theta healing when I was a teenager, but I chose to go through a kind of process so that I know now, I know what I knew then, I know now, but I know differently and I look at it differently. Because I see a lot of people struggling with those kinds of ideas and those kinds of thoughts that I had when I was a teenager that I'm not going to say limited me, but I'm going to say that I was deceived in some ways. And I allowed that in so that I could have that experience and know contrast, right? How to tell the difference between being deceived and not being deceived. It's huge. That is huge. Because if we don't have that experiential contrast, how do we identify it for others? How do we identify it for ourselves? How do we teach our kids how to deal with those deceptions? You can't unless you've had that experience. I believe that.
Well, what do you believe is the best way, like, to stay calm and not allow our anger or frustration to create problems?
Yeah. So meditation has been my go-to for a long time. I taught yoga and meditation for over 25 years, and that was my catalyst for my own healing. That was my catalyst for my finding my inner peace. A lot of people say that about yoga and meditation, and I think it has helped a lot of people. Maybe it's not for everybody, but for the majority of people who have anxiety, who have depression, who struggle with even kinetic sensation, feeling things. I didn't feel my body until I started stretching and breathing. I really didn't. There are things that I started to enjoy through those practices, like even like pleasure, that I just didn't even know existed. So first and foremost, what can we do to stay calm? We can come back to these bodies, these beautiful miracles that we are traveling in, are first and foremost the key. And I didn't even know that from that point. So through my journey with yoga and meditation, by the time I got to theta healing, and I learned a lot from you, Brenda, about theta healing and about muscle testing, about applied kinesiology, and how the body can tell us our truth. That was another, major realization about how the body speaks to us in that way. And I even to this day, I still use muscle testing, not just for beliefs now, but for all kinds of things. I use muscle testing to help me make decisions, to help me know more about what's about to happen, because sometimes it's good to have that additional information, and so using those tools have really helped me. That's another thing, sometimes we feel anxiety because we don't know what's going to happen. Well, like muscle testing is a tool that I use to help go, oh, okay, that's not even something I need to worry about. That's not even part of my existence, And so tuning into the body is huge. Tuning into what's really happening in the mind, breathing. Oh, breathing.
Just thinking that, yeah.
Right? Breathing.
I think if people really paid attention, they realize that they hold their breath a lot.
And it's so connected to emotion, breath and emotion, right? How do we breathe when we're scared? When we're watching a scary movie, we hold our breath. How do we breathe when we're angry? Like it's the short, arrested kind of like, how do we breathe when we're in love? It's like these long, deep breaths that just relax us. And so if we can be more in love with ourselves, with our world, with our family and our friends, we can breathe deeply and we can relax. Now, if you do it first, then that helps your emotion. Like that really helps the emotion. And the reverse is true, right? So if you have the relaxed emotion, then you can also have the relaxed breath. but how much more command we have over the body and the mind if we breathe first. And that in turn helps to relax and release the tension in the body. There's so many different ways to breathe, by the way. Being a yoga instructor, teaching people how to breathe was huge. And diaphragmatic breathing is one of the best things we can do. Just breathing with the belly, breathing in, let the belly get big, breathing out, pulling the belly in, and relaxing the whole body. So simple, so simple.
And as when you were talking, I was just really thinking about how people are always in their, they're in their minds, they're thinking about it, which is then is how you're having these reactions. So when we're talking about meditation or we're talking about breathing, it gets you out of your head and in your body. That's what Brandy's talking about. Because your mind will run away. Our mind likes to make these stories. And that's what, that's why I say, like Brandy said, I stopped watching movies because I don't want to be on the roller coaster, right? How I like to decompress at the end of the night is I love to watch, like competitions, reality TV competitions where they have to be creative. That inspires me. And I just am in awe of people, right? So I love to do that. And it's knowing what, but it also takes me out of my mind. Exactly. It takes me out of my brain. I use my brain a lot. When I'm not doing theta healing sessions, I use my brain a lot. So it's like, then I just need to take a break. And that's the beautiful thing about theta healing, right? Is that we're bypassing the brain. We're bypassing the brain, the mind, the conscious, the subconscious, or however you want to call them, so that we are getting the information on a cellular level and understanding, making those changes there.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it is the stories that we tell ourselves, stop watching movies, but if you're still making up stories in your mind about what happened before or what's going to happen, that's your own movie. Like you're watching your own emotional movie in your head 24/7. And breathe, you're right, breathing takes us into the present moment. Because in the moment, when you're just observing, you're not telling a story, you're just watching things unfold in front of you. And you can be in awe if you want to. You can be in bliss if you like. You can be neutral with your emotions. And just to sit and watch things unfold, I'm telling you, it's a miracle. It's just a miracle to just watch this world or watch your children play or go outside and watch the grass grow. There's so much around us that's happening. You don't need to create your own story. You don't need to create your own movie. All you need to do is watch everything unfold and be in awe at the grace of God, at the grace of Creator. It's beautiful.
And that's the thing too, is that I feel, I'm going to say it, like, stop watching the news, right? Because one, it's not accurate. Two, it's meant to keep you in fear. Absolutely. And so, but again, you can agree or disagree with me, but think about it. I probably haven't watched the news in 30 years and I'm happy. Just saying, I'm happy. I was happy. That was way before theta healing, but I just knew. And again, it's like, what do I put in my mind when I want to engage it? What does that look like? And we can handle anything in the present. That's the thing that I always tell people. But we have so much of the past that we bring into it. We have so much that we've inherited that we bring into it. We have so much, it just depends on what you believe in, of what we bring in, like when we came in, that it all comes together. But when you breathe, when you stay calm, it's about the present moment.
What you're saying reminds me right now, Brenda, of whenever sometimes victims of trauma, let's say when somebody was younger, severe trauma, what the mind does is this genius thing. It removes itself from the situation that's happening. This is like the, worst case scenario here. But the mind removes itself, and it almost as if you're watching things happen from a different place, not in your consciousness. And I think it's a protective mechanism. You almost go into like
we
understanding.
call it disassociation.
Right.
We call it association.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. But what I think happens is the mind does this thing that's a protective mechanism where it just goes, look, it's just a movie. Look, it's just a movie. This is an illusion. It's not, it's real, but it's not real. And so when the mind does that, for people who've had this experience, I think it's so profound. And I think it's so telling of how incredible the mind is and what can happen when we allow ourselves to be fully present and go, no matter how bad this looks, you need to understand it's just a movie, the whole thing, just a movie. So I love Theta Healing's ability. I love the ability that we can have through Theta Healing to release the emotion connected to really scary things that can happen, or real, even in putting the word real in there is a misnomer, but when things happen that seem the worst of the worst, you can have a Theta Healing experience that separates the emotion and just be objective about it. That's incredible, because people have these experiences in life that stop them in their tracks, again and again and again and again. But then when you release the emotion connected to what happened that first time it happened, everything's different. Everything changes. You kind of see the movie like, I wonder why that even happened, right?
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Then we get to be the objective observer, which again, it's what's so interesting is that a lot of these things, and again, we're, talking to a yoga instructor, but who apparently started when she was 5, if she's been doing it for 25 years. But, that's the thing, is that we're so attached or engaged that if we can detach, it allows us those concepts of the Eastern philosophies that sounded good, they look good, it sounds, unrealistic, right? But it's very realistic when you apply it with Theta Healing, because that's what I felt. I feel like, oh, that makes all sense now. I can do that because I have this tool that has enabled me to be able to do this. And that's what's so cool about it.
That's right.
So
That's right.
how do we overcome our biggest fears? Such a great question for today, let me tell you.
It is. It's right on track, isn't it? As usual.
I know, we were laughing. I was like, because, I book out 3 months in advance for this co-live. So I always have to laugh when what's going on in the world with the person that I'm interviewing. I'm like, oh, they were perfect, So yeah, how do we, because this is the thing, folks, right? We're waiting for everything to land and see how it unfolds. And so come back to this, listen to this, right? And let me breathe, or take some notes. If you're, especially again, if you are watching this and you feel like somebody would benefit from this, please please comment, please share it, please tag, just so, because they'll, and we're going to do work here at the end, they'll be able to get everything that they need on a replay as well. So whether you're watching this live or you're watching a replay, this information is good. So please tag somebody that you feel like, because this is a perfect conversation for us to be having today on the 20th of January, 2021, right? So how do we overcome our biggest fears, Brandy?
Yeah, that's a great question, and timely. Yeah, timely. So you guys have probably heard this already. All of you probably heard this, but fear is that great acronym for false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Fear is not real. It is another kind of smokescreen. It's another kind of illusion that we allow ourselves to play a part in. And it's a choice. I believe fear is a choice for sure. And no matter what's happening outside of us, we can have a very calm place, a very stable space inside of us, no matter what's happening out here. And the idea that you have to act on fear is a very kind of outdated kind of concept, it's certainly okay to have fear. There's nothing that says you can't be afraid. Acting on that fear is something a little bit different. That's the choice that Brenda's talking about, right? The choice to move into action based on something that's not real can really get yourself into some dicey situations. So, what I would say about fear, once you feel yourself having that sensation, that fearful sensation, remember that when you're in the present moment, there doesn't have to be any kind of emotion connected to what's happening in that moment, you know? And let's take the worst case scenario, fear of death. What happens after death? Well, guess what? In that moment, it doesn't really matter, because if you're not alive, you're having a totally different experience. You're not having the same experience when you have life inside of you. It's going to be completely different. And just speaking to a lot of people that I know that have had near-death experiences, that have completely died, I can tell you there's no fear there. There's none. There's just awareness. There's just a kind of, wow, isn't that interesting? As Brenda would say. So whatever the fear is, whether it be death or suffering, or let's say, something happening to your own children, watching them suffer, it's important to remember that all of us are just having our own experience. That's all it is an experience. Even pain can be overcome. Having 3 children naturally at home, with loving people around me, there was still this experience of pain that I have to tell you, I wasn't looking forward to after the first time.
After she knew what was coming, yeah.
I knew. And my midwife would say, yeah, like you forget that pain. It's kind of true, because right after the pain, you're filled with a flood of euphoria that there's this new life right in front of you, right in your arms. And it's an incredible sensation. And I think with pain, even whether it be physical, mental, or emotional pain, there still has to be a kind of presence. You still need to be present for that, because there's something in that is part of who you are and your experience.
Well, and Brandy, the deal is that, again, we're looking at beliefs. Pain sometimes is the only time that people will pay attention. It's unfortunate, but that's their indicator. Like, oh, so whether that's emotional pain or physical pain, it's a choice to use that as an indicator. And we can shift that through theta healing. I'm make a note to self here to conclude that here, but that's the deal. So let's see, what's our last question here? So how can we stay motivated to keep moving forward spiritually?
Oh, that's a good one. Like, did I really send you these questions? How can we stay motivated?
Divinely guided. Yeah.
That's good. How can we stay
Who
motivated?
wants to join us?
Hey, Chula. Hey, Chula. What a
Speak of the devil.
I know, the angel. Come on. So how can we stay motivated to keep moving forward spiritually? Well, I can tell you that there's not that I know that, but sometimes we think that there's going to be a kind of light at the end of the tunnel, right? If we keep working and keep working and working, there's going to be an end to all of this. There's going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. But here we go, another little, it's not the destination, it's the journey, right? Another little, euphemism that we love to use. It's the journey. The best motivation for working spiritually, on ourselves, is that when you think of the body as being impermanent, that one day we will leave these bodies. The spiritual body is forever. It's forever connected to everyone and everything, and it will move on. And the question is that we need to keep in our minds is, how do I want to move on? Right? How do I want to keep going? Do I want to stay in this illusion? Do I want to stay in a place of like, well, maybe we might think there's nothing after death, or maybe, and that's okay to think that too. There's no, but I promise you, you'll be dealing with the same stuff if you come back. If you believe in reincarnation, you come back, you'll be dealing with the same stuff. And then if you believe in heaven, then, you'll be moving on to something else. There's still some kind of, and we all know this intuitive, we all know to the core of us that our spirit grows, that it develops, that it moves and it shapes. And so every single time you're working on yourself spiritually, there is a long-term gain. There is a long-term gain. And know that you're not just working on yourself when you work on yourself spiritually. There's that eternal connection to all things that I think all religions share, right?
Right.
So you're not just working on you, you're working on a kind of mass spiritual consciousness, that when you elevate your own self, you're elevating a collective. And if you're a person who loves to be in service, that's the ultimate service.
Absolutely. That's the thing. It's work, heal yourself, work on yourself, raise your vibration. That invites others to do that as well.
That's right.
Because the world is our mirror. So again, we have to have certain things reflected back to us to support the beliefs that don't serve us. And then we get to shift it and the mirror gets to change. So part of that mirror changing is holding and raising the vibration of those around us.
And that's exactly, we get to be that mirror for others too. And so when we're showing up as our best self, as our highest self, then we're reflecting that back to others as well. And I tell you, people will walk up to you and go, "You look so familiar." And you've never met.
Right. And, and also over the years too, especially when we could be like in person, I would just have people go, "I just want to be happy like you," because they know it's like no BS, right? Or I want to be able to stand like people. I think it's about being connected with God and having that co-creation with God, creator, however you want it, whatever you want to call your divine power. And there's a confidence in that. And people are like, "I want that." And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you do. Spiritual confidence. Yes.
So we're going to do a little work.
Yeah,
right?
let's do
it. So I always tell people, I think I said at the beginning. So again, if you have liked this, comment, like, share, tag people that will benefit from this. And just know with this work that we're going to be doing, if you're watching the replay, because so many more people catch this on the replay, I know that, than the live, is that, you get to just say yes. And there was a lot of really good information shared with Brandy. Maybe you knew this, maybe you just needed to hear it again. Maybe you just needed to be reminded, but it's perfect timing. There's no mistake, right? That it's happening now, the synchronicities of everything, just keep in mind. And you can always come back to this. It's always going to be available. We put it also on our YouTube channel. You'll always be able to come. And if you're in my group, Wealth Vibe Acceleration, it's always easily available to you there, easy to find. So just know that. But there were some things that Brandy said that I was like, because I have to tell y'all, for the first time ever, I've been doing this for almost a year, that I was just like, and not taking any notes whatsoever. It was just like, yeah, I'm just talking to Brandy. We're just talking. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to figure out some work here. So Theta healing goes beyond the mind and the subconscious mind. It makes changes on a cellular level that just allows you to just easily and quickly just move forward as if it's always been. That's the beautiful thing. We get out of our head having to figure this all out. So it's really nice. I always do 3 beliefs at the very beginning. So keep in mind, you do have to say yes out loud as a very respectful modality, that you don't get the work unless you say yes. So we need to say yes out loud, which Brandy will cue you on when to say yes as the featured guest. And you want to say yes in the comments below, right? Because we're social media, so we got to do it both ways here. So the three basic beliefs are: I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible. I do this with every new client, every new student, to make sure that we can just have this happen as quickly as it's possible, as they're willing and they want, painlessly, easily, gracefully. So if you would like those, I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and instant healing is possible, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
And let's get, I always say, those divine definitions of breath and choice and destination and journey, because we're going to do some work on this. So when we are, I always say, if my definition of letting go was that somebody else gets their way, I'm always on the losing end and it's painful. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to let go. But if God or Creator's definition is, flowing through the journey, trusting and knowing that my highest and best good will be met, and I'm in alignment with that, then when it's appropriate for me, I will let go, but I'll know. So if you would like those to be in alignment with those divine definitions of breath and choice and destination and journey, just say yes.
Yes.
So we want to change what prevents us from being aware of our breath and prevents us from breathing. That is for our highest and best good. So allows us to be calm. What prevents us from having that awareness and being intentional in our breath? And then also, let's see here, what obligates us to disassociate? So I always say there's a choice in disassociation when we become aware of it. So a boring lecture, something I don't want to hear, I don't mind disassociating, but being present for a co-live interviewing Brandy, I want to be aware. So we want to remove the obligation so that you have a choice to be able to do it. We also want to change what would prevent you from being able to make a choice that's for your highest and best good. And we want to remove the obligation to suffer. And let's see what else here. We want to change the obligation to live in fear so that you can approach things more objectively and be non-reactive. Let's go ahead and do those, and then I'll have one more that will end up, we'll tie with a bow and end. Yes.
Yes.
So if you would like those, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
And then the last one is about destination and journey, right? So let's change the obligation to make it about the destination. Let's change what prevents us from enjoying and being present in the journey. And let's change what prevents us from having discernment on what's important in that equation for us. So if you would like that, just say yes out loud.
Yes.
Because I know I want Play-Doh to be part of my destiny or part of my journey. I'm just going to say that, right?
Can you hear it?
Who doesn't want to enjoy Play-Doh, right? Is there anything that you feel like that you want to throw into the mix, Brandy?
Um, one of the things that I think might be a good thing to just add is the feeling or the download that all is well.
Hmm. So let's change what prevents us from knowing that it's all going to be okay, right? That it's all going to be. And then also what we'll do as well. So we'll do that first. And again, tag somebody, like, share, come back to this. You can, if you're watching the replay and you've already gone through all of this, come towards the end and we'll just do a little bit of like unconditional love from God, because I find that to be one of the most calming things as well. So if you would like, we're going to do the what we just talked about first, and know that all is well, right? So change what prevents us from knowing all that is well and know what that feels like. So we'll do that first. Yes?
Yes.
And then let's just receive that unconditional love from your divine power, whether it be God, creator, however you address, goddess, universe, whoever that is. So
Yes.
let's just take a moment to have that.
Yes.
So Brandy, how can people find you? How does your show work? Let us know.
Yeah, thanks. So our show is called Beyond the Edge, and our website is Beyond the Edge Productions. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Gosh, we're everywhere now. We have podcasts. So it's been probably about a month now. We've got over 1,000 views, 1,000 people per show, and we're only once a week. So every Wednesday from 11 to 12 Central Time. And what else do you need to know about it? We're looking for people who would love to be seen and heard. And if you're in the industry of health and wellness, energy medicine, or spirituality, we'd really love to hear from you. We'd really love to talk to you. And we're also looking for sponsors. So if you have a product or a service that you would like to highlight on our show, we're growing very, very quickly. We're on like 6 podcasts, and soon we're going to be on television. We're going to be on our local station here in Houston also. And we're all over the globe as well, since we're on the internet. So we'd love to have more of you come. We'd also have love more of you to catch our show. It's really great. Sometimes we do some theta healing, but mostly we're putting it out there, just letting people know what's going on in our world. And we have some phenomenal people. We have some phenomenal people on our show. Also, Women of the World Network. I want to just talk about that a little bit. You're a member of that, Brenda.
Yeah.
That's a networking group for women who are of different cultures. Maybe you've lived somewhere else in the world and you've come to the U.S., or you've been here, you lived here for your whole life, and you have some rich culture. We'd really like to get to know you and network with you. I'm the new chapter lead here in Houston, and we're all over the U.S. So if you want to know more about that, Women of the World Network, you can go online and check out our website. And of course, my website, brandydeutsch.com. I am still seeing clients. My focus has shifted more towards the TV, internet, radio show, because it's just been blowing up so fast. Whenever we're talking about just following your highest guidance, you put one foot in front of the other and God does the rest. It's amazing. It's been incredible. But I am still seeing clients also, and I can be reached at brandydeutsch.com. They can go to my website and get to me there.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you resonate with Brandy, contact her.
Thank you,
Absolutely. And
Brenda.
I always say, like, in the post, and I'll put that in the post so that you can be able to contact her. But all my information's there and as well. And I always invite people to come into our Facebook group, the Wealth Vibe Acceleration, because we do a lot of theta healing and other quantum energy techniques that allow people's vibration to raise and to maintain. That's the big thing. That's the most important. So always Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we next week will be featuring Veronica Sofer, who's also from Houston, another Houstonite. And she is we're going to be looking at the changes needed to be seen and visible. So always good information. Brandy, what a pleasure. Like, I've had 2 hours of Brandy today.
I know.
I'm going to tell you that right now. Don't hate, don't be jealous. I had Brandy for 2 hours. So
Same,
thank you
Brenda.
again. And
My
thank you,
pleasure.
everybody.
Thank
Please
you.
share, please like, please comment. It's always just so helpful because this is such good information that people need to hear right now. All
For
right,
sure.
guys.
Thanks, Brenda.